How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? My product is a hybrid of the thriller and mystery genres. According to No Film School, the thriller genre is characterized by the modes it elicits. That is to say, thrillers are a combination of anticipation and suspense, a sense of unease that evokes physical attention in the audience. Since my film is an unconventional case, the conventions employed in each scene vary. As an example of the conventions utilized, consider scene 1, which takes place at a school. Shoot 1 opens with a character being chased. Despite being an essential figure in the plot, this character is not the protagonist. Thus, in a sense, this scene simultaneously adheres to and defines the conventions of typical thrillers. In terms of cinematography, for this very shot, I employed handheld camera work with a POV perspective, which reinforced the classic chase sequence characteristic of this genre. Later, shifting to the school's interior in shots 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, these shots are filmed from unconventional angles. These shots also stand out for the use of typical low-key lighting and for taking place in a dark hallway, a space characterized by limited room and limited light. At the same time, these shots challenge the genre by adopting a slow, deliberate pace, a stark contrast to shot 1. Scene 2 presents an interesting case, as it largely challenged the typical conventions of thrillers. The cinematic conventions I employ include handheld camera work and purposeful Dutch angles, as well as close-ups designed to heighten the character's frustration. In this shot, the character's creativity and stability is laid bare. When I mentioned that it challenged conventions, I was referring to the mise-en-scene, which unfolds in a normal, tranquil setting, specifically the library. It is an open, calm space filled with bright colors that shift the film's mood, creating a sharp contrast with the unsettling atmosphere of scene 1. With a slow, linear rhythm, we transition to scene 3. This scene takes place within the protagonist's mind, unfolding as a dream sequence. Scene 3 returns to the use of typical genre conventions, employing high-angle shots, low-key lighting, and dark color palettes with selective focus. However, this time, the confined and restricted space is intangible, as we are situated inside the protagonist's mind. Both scene 1 and 2 generally subvert the thriller genre, as the danger is internal rather than external. Everything unfolds within the protagonist's mind. I will now answer the cinematography for the mystery genre. The conventions I utilize in both camera angles and framing that deliberately conceal information. For instance, the male character's face is never revealed. I also made extensive use of shadows and was highly selective with my lighting, particularly in scene 1, the interior scene, and scene 3, in order to direct the audience gaze toward exactly what I want them to see. Naturally, I employ selective focus on key clues to help reinforce the film's mysterious tone. This ties in closely with the mise-en-scene, as I incorporate symbolic objects such as books and concealed various clues within the props and the set dressing. How does my film represent social groups or issues? The story follows the life of Maria, a young, frustrated artist who is compiling an art portfolio in hopes of gaining admissions to her dream university. The problem? Her lack of ideas. She discovers the book and finds herself tempted to use it. The book acts as the catalyst that corrupts the protagonist. Yet, in reality, the book is not there by chance. It is intentionally accessible. Much like artificial intelligence, it did not appear there by accident, and arguably, it is unfair to lay the blame at least entirely upon vulnerable young people. Whereas Maria was at her most vulnerable moment, the still developing minds of the majority of young people are equally susceptible. My interpretation of the fleeting appearance of the character who leaves the book on the shelf is that simply leaving it there was enough, without any explanation or set of rules. Just like artificial intelligence, the book is addictive, for what is precisely what it was designed to be. This leads to the question, who could possibly resist to a tool that seems to hold all the answers? Apparently, our primitive, curious brains cannot. It is the same civilization that invents things it cannot explain, and the same species that places faith in everyone and everything except itself.